are recording right now. Welcome to this special episode of the Rising Star podcast. As you can see, we have the Rad Dad, Radley Belmont, one half of the Stepdads. We have tough and talented owner Vincenzo. We have myself, Joey G, rocking the Zane Bernardo t-shirt.
And me, Kelsey, rocking the Zane bowling shirt.
Yes. And this is a special Zane Bernardo tribute episode of the Rising Star podcast where we chat and just talk about the career of Zane Bernardo, one half of the longest reigning Northeast Wrestling Tag Team Champions of all time in Zanely Rude.
So we wanted to get on here and not do something that we normally do and interview, whether it's a wrestler, an owner, manager,
I'm sitting on your foot.
Whoever. We just wanted to come on here and kind of just talk about how amazing they were as a tag team. And hopefully one day, if he's ever getting the itch again or just wants to hear how great he was as a wrestler, he can hear from us, you guys, and, maybe future fans, can get a listen on who Zane Bernardo was.
Obviously, both you men have had a bit of history with Zane Bernardo at one point or another, right? Rad Dad, obviously, if it wasn't for Insanely Rude, I would have never even knew about the Stepdads through truly independent wrestling. I'm pretty sure you have some history with Zane Bernardo.
Wait, we need to pause for one second. I blame Rad Dad right now. Maybe it's our fault that he retired because he told me to call him that as a different name.
We're not roasting Zane Bernardo here. You're turning the tribute into a roast.
Maybe it's our fault. Maybe we were like, oh, maybe we pushed him too far.
You might be onto something. I mean, maybe the pressure of wrestling the Stepdads and even Stevens at the same time was just too much. I don't know.
That broke my heart. Like when I saw yesterday RJ posting about single stuff, and I was like, okay, it's normal. Tag teams tend to, either go their separate ways or they like to do something here and there if they get called up to a promotion, whatever, to test the waters.
Excuse my niece. She
likes to feed everybody. But then when I saw his long post this morning, I kind of did a double take. I was like, no way. That's not, is he really leaving? And then he confirms it. I was like,
with all due respect, I love Zane. I thought it was a joke on Twitter and he kept saying Zane is retired because I didn't know for a fact. I love Zane. I really thought he was just fooling us because he posted something about Michael Jordan wearing the number 23 and then wearing the number 45. So I was thinking, oh, he's not retiring. No way he's retiring. And he's just joking around. He's trolling. Then he posted something along the lines of what Ric Flair said when he said, I will never retire and everything. And so I'm thinking, okay, he's playing us again. It's a wrestling thing. And then out of nowhere, I saw the passionate post and it broke my heart at work. I actually teared up a bit.
It was very heartbreaking. I feel, I'm the pro wrestler on the podcast right now. I have to say it. Never say never about coming back to wrestling. That's just, it's not just a cliche. It's real. I feel like 95% of anybody who stepped in a ring wrestled or at least stepped in a ring again a couple more times than they expected. So will we see Zane Bernardo again? Probably, but that doesn't diminish the legacy he's had. We shouldn't expect it or want it because right now he's on to the next chapter of his life, and it's an exciting chapter that if he's this excited about to leave wrestling and do, I give all the power to him. It sounds fantastic to me.
Now, Vincenzo, have you, as a promoter and an owner of a company, have you seen that before? People kind of lose their flair and then they go off and do whatever it is that they need to do and then they come back. And do you think they come back better than ever? Or do you think they come back as they
Yeah, I mean, I've done it when I was a referee for many years. I stepped away, said I'm done, I'm never coming back, and then I started my own promotion. So it's once you have the itch in the business and once you realize how freaking awesome. I didn't swear because we have a dad here, so I didn't want to swear.
Jar, where's the jar?
But yeah, no, once you get that itch, it's like it never goes away.
Yeah.
Ever.
Now, as fans, you know, we were bit by the bug, and there are times where we don't watch certain promotions anymore, and then all of a sudden you get an itch to watch like an old, like you the other day, I was going to give you my Peacock so that you could watch, what was it, 93's SummerSlam or something you had said, or Survivor Series, and like it goes to show, like during quarantine, that's all I watched was like the old stuff, and it makes you think like, oh man, I miss how it was and what it used to be, and then you know, you go backwards, but then you kind of go back forward and you're like, oh, I missed this. Like, just like you with bowling, you retired for a while, never said you were going to join a league again. Here you were, you joined it again, and we have a lot of fun. So,
Came out of retirement.
right. I feel like you can never say never. It's more, and like I said in my post is saying, I hope that this is the next chapter, but the book is still open. You know, like, I hope to know that maybe there'll be something in the future that, you know, we'll hear Big Time Rush one more time or whatever theme song.
Downtown Friction, actually. It was Downtown Friction.
At the end?
So it was a remix of all their theme songs.
Oh, I like that.
Downtown Friction hit, you know, you just hear a record scratch and then it's like, you know, I just want to run. And they just come out and RJ was doing the whole, like, the rap devil thing, except he's calling himself the pop punk devil now. So
That's really funny. Only because I had a conversation. I had a kid the other day that didn't know MGK was ever a rapper. And I kind of just looked at him, I'm like, wait, what? Like, he was like, yeah, he's all about pop punk. And I was like, oh, hold on a second, sir. He was a rapper before he was rolling with Travis Barker.
You can blame Travis Barker. He turns out rappers into pop punk musicians.
I don't think it's that. I think Eminem killed him. And I think how do you come back from like the greatest of all time rapper?
Right, but we're not here talking about Eminem or Travis Barker or MGK. We're talking about Zane Bernardo. You know,
but you guys did put up a great point in that, not that Zane left for any specific reason, but he feels like he needs to move on. That happens to a lot of wrestlers, even if they don't retire, quote unquote, or leave the business. It's always good to go back to that feel good time that you watch wrestling. So for most, it's when they were a kid. For me, it's late 90s WCW. If I feel down and I feel like wrestling just isn't living up to what I hoped it would be, I go back and watch old episodes of Monday Nitro, and it reignites my passion like instantly.
Royal Rumble.
Yeah, there you go. Royal Rumble.
Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that happened to Zane here, but it's a great message to give to anybody who's listening to this or watching this about if you do feel like that, you do feel like, I guess jaded would be the best word. Disenfranchised would be another word. Go back to what you love about wrestling.
But that could be with anything in this world. Like it doesn't have to be just wrestling. It could be, I'm a hairdresser, and there are times where I'm like, I almost wanted to give up or move forward, do something else. And like, you know, at one point I told Joe I wanted to be a paramedic. Like I wanted to do, I wanted out of my field. I was done. I was over it. It was during the pandemic. And when you're sitting at home for all those months and you're just not doing the thing that you once loved, it kind of like makes you think like, could I do something else? Would I be good at anything else? Sorry, can I handle anything else?
Well, I know Zane has done a few acting gigs.
Well, it says actor on his thing.
Yeah, so maybe he's looking into pursuing a career in that right now, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like Brad's dad said, you know, you can lose touch with anything. And then sometimes if you want to reignite that passion, you kind of have to go backwards in order to go forward. You know, just like you went back to bowling and now you love it again. Yay.
That's debatable. No, I'm kidding.
You know what?
No,
I'm
in all
gonna hit you with
seriousness.
my bowling ball tonight.
No, well, then you're going to need to find a fourth teammate. Anyways, the point is, get away. But getting back to what I was saying, though, you know, obviously, being that going forward, Zane has all had an impact in some way or shape or form. And first, like I said, going back on Zane Bernardo memories, I wanted to start with you, Rad Dad. Because obviously, I would have never found out about the Stepdads if it wasn't for Insanely Rude. Me searching up Insanely Rude on YouTube, you know. Got any interesting Zane Bernardo memories you'd like to share with us? Any really, really good ones?
I mean, for me, it's less specific moments in time but more of the timeline of how I've known him. Because when I first laid eyes on that kid, it was on YouTube videos when he was backyard wrestling. And I don't think he would be mad that I mentioned that, but he was backyard wrestling in Connecticut. And we're not talking about using weapons and like these were actual wrestling matches done in a proper ring, fantastic moves. They're still out there if you know where to find them. And I was absolutely blown away. So in meeting him, he already looked like $1 million. He already had the abs and all that kind of stuff going for him. He's on his way. I was very inspired. I really thought that he was going to do great things. He did. Northeast Tag Team Champion, longest reigning,
and youngest.
Exactly. And for him to start so young, because he's still very young. He was so young when I met him, and then for him to move on to the pros. He did it the right way. He got trained. He talked to the right people, learned how to do business the right way. Meanwhile, I'm still sitting on my keister, not doing anything, and watching him and watching RJ. I'm not sure if you're aware, RJ wrestled in Evolve at one point. That kind of stuff was extremely inspiring to me. Watching them team up, which they hadn't done too often, if at all, before the insanely rude combination, but they were best friends. And to know RJ was to know Zane was know RJ. Fun fact I'll tell you now, Zane Bernardo, kind of a play on Alex Zane, who was a friend of ours as well back in the day. Now he's a big deal, but the fact that he got to such height so quickly, to get noticed so quickly on the indie scene, to be picked up by PAPW, then going to Northeast Wrestling, to be in TIW, was very inspiring to me, because I was just a kid that I didn't think I'd be a pro wrestler. I really didn't. I did some training and I fell in and out of it. But to see him succeed so well, and a couple of other my friends, it gave me the motivation to give it a try. And without him and a handful of other people, I don't know if I would be here. Maybe I'd be a commentator or helping with ring crew or something. I would have never taken the leap to be a professional wrestler the way I am today. And that's because of guys like Zane and RJ and a handful of others. So to him, to me, his journey is just as important to me than is to you guys, because it inspired me just like it inspires you guys to cheer them on and to continue to follow their careers and follow NEW, follow TIW, all those teams. Joe, you lost your hat.
I noticed.
But
I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to try to.
Now I feel like we're part of that comedy skit. Boing, boing.
And then to reunite with them in Truly Independent Wrestling, which is where we had our trilogy of matches between 2017 and 2019. To have those 3 matches were very important to me in the fact that we had known them so long. And for us to get into a business where nobody knew the Stepdads were, nobody knew who I was or what my ability was. They didn't know if I could give a headlock, much less anything else. The fact that RJ and Zane would say, yeah, you guys, we know you can tear the house down. Let's try to steal the show tonight, pushed me to be a better professional wrestler when other matches were just run of the mill or I didn't know what I was doing. I needed help. They helped me become a better pro wrestler outside of just being great friends. I can't tell you enough how heartwarming it is to have them in the locker room. Obviously, you guys have had very limited access with the locker room, but some locker rooms are friendlier than others, and they brought a very friendly atmosphere. Much like 2TW has a very friendly atmosphere. Like those kind of locker rooms are so precious. And to have people like that, like glue guys, Wade calls them, glue guys who are always there to lend a hand, lend some positivity. That's the stuff you don't see in front of the cameras. This is stuff you might not see even as a fan, is how much they bring to the locker rooms and to their, for lack of a better term, their peers, their coworkers.
What makes it more comforting? So like if a new guy comes in, that they're not bullies.
Mm-hmm. And they got that from the idea that when they started, they were just seen as dumb backyard wrestlers that needed to get trained. And even when they were training, they had to kind of hide what they had done in the past, even though they had legitimately wrestled people, trained professionals who had flown from the UK to wrestle them and wrestle in their backyard. They could not tell people that because of the stigma. And that's something normal independent wrestlers don't get to do as much, is to wrestle international talent. I was fortunate enough to do the same thing, but I was allowed to tell people, and they weren't. So that kind of thing. I'm glad that they were able to get past that stigma and show that they had such ability. They still have such talent, and there's absolutely no reason why Zane Bernardo cannot come back next week, next month, next year. Because let me tell you guys, as a pro wrestler, my two favorite moments in wrestling are winning a championship and returning to a company. Because both times people care. They care so much. And
that's going to be a huge, if he ever returns to the ring, that would be a big pop.
That's what I'm talking about. So will Zane Bernardo return? I believe so. Will you know it's happening? Probably not. And that's what makes
Give me 1 second.
My child likes to close the door already. She's like a tantrum of a 14-year-old. Now, Vincenzo, better not be. Now, Vincenzo, like you said, you've seen it, and Dad. So when a tag team splits and whether they both go their separate ways, one leaves, whatnot, is it hard for the tag team partner that does stay? Is it hard for them to make it on the independent circuit? Like, how do you go from someone depending on somebody to not depending on anybody at all? Like, that's got to be a little hard. Like me, I always need someone to do something with. So for me, and my boyfriend's calling her dad, I always wonder, like, is that hard for someone to go out in an independent circuit?
I think it really depends on the person, honestly, because I've seen so many teams split, and one person goes above and beyond and has a good singles career, and I've seen some people just kind of crap out, I guess is the word I can use.
Now, you don't think RJ will burn himself out, right? Like, because it seems like he still has the drive, the want, and like there was like the resilient to want to keep going.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, like that would be like for me if I saw the Even Stevens split up, like it would be weird. Like at least I know, like when Steve Somerset was injured, they brought in Cardigan and it worked. Like, they have I don't want to say that's their backup, but like if something ever happened to one or the other, they kind of have Phil Cardigan in a weird way as their filler for the moment. But like for RJ, like I can't really even picture him tagging with anybody like else other than Zane.
I mean,
I get that he has friends, but it's like I visually can't see him going that same successful run that he had with Zane. Like maybe it's just because I'm being biased and I just don't want to see in Zane Bernardo as any other name or any other like two. But I would hope to God like that he wouldn't keep the name. I would hope that because it says Zane like in the name and Zane Rude. So it's like, how do you?
I'm going to say RJ is probably going to go by now and do his own singles thing for the moment, which he definitely looks like he's already built a character with the pop punk devil thing, as I keep telling you, and it's going to be something I feel that RJ is putting a lot of, like work into. But again, we're not talking about RJ. We're talking about tribute.
Yeah, we're asking them questions like, what do they see other people like that happens? Is it successful? Does it fall apart? And you missed it when you were chasing the devil.
The little pop punk devil.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is going to affect everybody. So it makes sense to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very weird because when I first went into the independent wrestling scene, they were the first tag team that I saw. It was like he was talking about them. And then when I finally saw them, I was like, holy shit, you guys are good. Like they're young, but they're fast. What?
I didn't hear what he said.
I didn't.
Swear jar.
Oh, I swear. Has to go on the pink. Anyway, no, they were great. Like they were young, they were talented, they put on a show, and then we kept going. And then he started the section, and like he was like, "No more waiting. We want to see them."
No more waiting was for Keith Youngblood. The Insanely
Wow.
Rude section.
Well, no more waiting in the sense of like they deserve a title.
All right, so I'm just gonna go straight into what got me hooked on Insanely Rude.
Hold on.
So, and since Kelsey's coming away,
I already know.
It started off like, my first independent wrestling show for Northeast Wrestling, before I ended up getting hooked, I was at Wrestling Under the Stars back in 2018. I didn't know who the opening card match was between Mike Gamble. I'm trying to remember the name of the other guy that was with Gamble because it wasn't Dexter Lou. And then a team called Insanely Rude. I never knew anything about them other than the fact that they came down to the Drake and Josh theme song. And I was a little like, at the beginning, I was like, Drake and Josh theme song, that's different. I've never seen anybody come out to a theme song from a TV show, which eventually you guys, I think that's what hooked me onto the Stepdads immediately. I was like, how many of these teams go and come out to the theme songs from TV shows? That's awesome. So they came out, immediately caught my eye, and it was really cool. Immediately got hooked on. I didn't get hooked at the beginning, but I heard of them, so it was really exciting. As the time went on with Insanely Rude, me and the crew traveled up to the NEW arena. We traveled up to the NEW arena, and boom, they have a matchup against a tag team that no one knows about right now. That's on AEW, named Private Party. No, they have a tag team match against Private Party. And that's when I got a little bit synced in, but it wasn't till the following matchup. They had a series of matches with Private Party, which got me hooked. With the third match leading into them beating Private Party at the NEW arena, they were still coming out to the Drake and Josh theme song, and everything was hooking. Then they had a match at the NEW arena in February of 2019. Which was the first time Kelsey saw them wrestle for the first time. And I said they come out to the Drake and Josh theme song. They teamed up with Keith Youngblood. And I'm conversating here, they're the one who put this together. What do you want me to do? Talk to the guests or do this? I mean, I don't know why you're in the kitchen. You give me headaches. Oh my God, guys, I'm sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a brief intermission, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
So going forward, I apologize about that. I got hooked immediately. They really got me locked into wanting to see Insanely Rude more. And I started what I call the Insanely Rude section movement, where I kept blowing up all of NEW's feeds saying, make them the tag team champions, make them the tag team champions. And I didn't think anything of it at the time when I started it. But every other show that was coming up, put Insanely Rude up against the tag champs, put Insanely Rude up against the tag champs every time. And I swear I was blowing up their Twitter feeds, Facebook, Instagrams for Northeast Wrestling non-stop, every show. And March show comes around. That's the first night I actually introduced myself to RJ and Zane. I bought my first Insanely Rude shirt. We chatted before the show. It was really interesting. I think we were hooked. I was hooked ever since. Hook, line, and sinker. And I was looking up everything Insanely Rude following that. And that's how I ended up stumbling upon the Stepdads. I got hooked. Then I said, we got to make something really happen. We want to make some noise for these guys. We got to do something incredible. So I got a bunch of my friends together, went to the NEW arena back in June of 2019 for a match against the Graysons. We had 10 people with us that night. And the NEW arena got so loud from how loud we got for Insanely Rude, to the point where you would have thought the roof was going to come off. It was so loud. The energy was so crazy. The following matchup
that the following show for the NAW Arena that was announced afterwards, they announced Insanely Rude had a shot at the NAW tag team titles. I don't know if we were responsible for that, but I feel like we kind of helped push them to consider Insanely Rude. Now, I always had a question for you guys before I continue on the Insanely Rude stories, which includes Zane Bernardo. Do you think fans chants, fans blowing up like social medias and stuff can eventually lead to that? Like it could really benefit or like hurt a promotion by doing that? What would you think? I was going to ask both Vincenzo and you, Rad Dad, because Vincenzo, obviously you own Tough and Talented. So I could see from a promoter standpoint and then from your standpoint as a wrestler, Rad Dad.
Go ahead, Vinny.
Okay. It helps because also there's some promoters who don't know about some talent. So then when like Joey will be like, hey, check this guy out. And I do. And then I always tell Joey, hey, tell him to hit me up. So it helps. I mean, I'm going to bring them up. Look at WWE with Daniel Bryan with WrestleMania 30. Considering that was nowhere near the plan that they wanted to do. But when the fans pretty much took over every Raw and SmackDown, it's like, all right, we got to listen. So noise does help.
Okay. And Rad Dad?
My understanding has always been the old Tony Schiavone idea. That's going to put a lot of butts in seats. So it's noise is incredibly helpful if it stirs up a buzz for people to come to the shows, to make money for the shows. Like the promoter's top job, as well as the booker, is to make the show profitable, to make money for the show, to give a great show, a show the audience that is paying their ticket wants to see. If the audience paying their ticket wants to see a specific tag team, they're going to try to push that team or at least showcase them, do something with the team because they're coming to see the team. I mean, it's simple as that. Does it always lead to a championship? Does it always lead to a certain type of quote-unquote push? That depends on the company. That depends on the story, what they're trying to do with the team. There's so many little things. But I'll tell you right now, whatever you guys did, the noise you guys made, it definitely helped. Did it give them a championship? I couldn't tell you. Did it help them take the championship for a long time? I couldn't tell you. Did it help? I truly believe it did, because I believe momentum makes money, and wrestling companies want that money. They want to showcase talent that will put butts in seats. So yes, absolutely.
And I also think it helps the wrestlers work even harder because like, oh, we have these 4 guys who are cheering for us. Now it's 10 people in the crowd. Now it's 25 people in the crowd. So it makes even the workers themselves want to work that much harder to get up here. Because if you sit there and say, I'm just going to use them as an example, you can be like, oh, I want Rad Dad to be the new 2TW US champion.
All right, I'm in.
All right, perfect. Already sold. But if he's still doing like mediocre matches, no offense, just example. But if he's still doing mediocre,
I know what my matches are.
Then the promoter will be like, "What the hell do these people see in him?" And then sometimes it'll kill the push. But so in my eyes, I think noise and seeing the fan base grow makes you want to work that much harder. Hence why the Stepdads are, in my eyes, one of the best teams to be in New England, because they went from, I'm going to use TIW as an example. They were in a small building, had maybe like 120 chairs, and then they went into this big place where they were averaging 350, 400 people pretty much.
Right.
And then you saw Stepdads go from first on the card to telling little kids that they're grounded to now being tag champs to working every best tag team that they threw at them. And look what happened to the Stepdads. They blew up and everybody freaking loves them. And they're the 2TW tag champs, by the way.
Longest reigning, too.
That's his promotion, tough and talented.
Okay, sorry. There's so many now that I get all of them confused. So except for like 2. But now it's just sad in the sense that we had that dream match. Like I wanted to see like all our tag teams that we love go at it. And you know, we had a dream too.
I always said the triple threat TLC of the Indies in Zane Rude versus Stepdads and even Stevens. And as of right now, sadly, unfortunately, with Zane deciding to take a retirement, maybe a permanent one, hopefully. And I'm praying because
call it a hiatus.
I love Zane so much that I hope he'll make a comeback. You know, right now that tag team is just still tag team triple threat is still a dream in my eyes. You know, but
why does this give me you seeing Blink-182 vibes right now? Because it seems like every time you're this close to something happening, it just
you gotta remind me that I'm never gonna see Blink-182.
that you call it. It just wouldn't be with Tom.
Mom and Dad are fighting again.
He's not sorry.
All right. Anyways, getting back to this thing, you have any Zane Bernardo memories?
I do. So the first time we met
Instead of
them,
running away.
sorry, I'm in the process of making Valentine's dinner since I made the bowling tonight. Happy Valentine's Day to all you single, not single people out there. Anyway, so when you first brought me to NEW, and they were one of the friendliest guys I've ever met, because like you go up to them and they just act like you and me. Like they're not like they're known, but it's not like they're like care less. And then our memories of, I would say the one at Invictus over here where I live. And they were like, after the match, they were hanging out like in the crowd, like, you know, just normal. And I had to go ask them something. And I got nervous at first, and I was like, oh, F it. Like, I know them. Like, I've talked with them. Like, I've actually like chatted with them, like via text message, whatever. So I went up to them and we literally just hung out, watched wrestling, and made fun of Jared the whole night. Like, it was so great. And Zane, all he kept doing was just poking fun of the fact that like Jared was wearing this stupid like new getup that they were trying to sell. What was it like when he was coming out? It was like the Ministry of Darkness. He had the mask on, the cloak. Yeah. And he was sitting there just ripping on him the whole time. And then he goes, I know who's in that mask. Hey, idiot. What are you wearing under that mask? Like,
oh, I do remember that.
And it was just like, he was just funny to be around. Like, he was just like, we are as the fans, and that's what they did. They would just sit there as fans watching the rest of the show with us.
I liked how Zane was I liked how we were chatting with them and they were literally discussing their like tastes in music with us while that match was going on. I felt bad for the match that was going on because I felt like we were completely ignoring
Jared's match.
No, it was not Jared's match. It was the guys from Sin versus Brother Greatness, and I can't remember the other person's name. But they were wrestling and we were talking with Zane and RJ throughout the match. They were just discussing all music, and obviously anybody who knows RJ knows that he loves pop punk music, including with his band Always Grounded and all the pop punk music that he listens to. I had no idea the music Zane listened to was like completely different, that he likes a mix of different things, and I digged it because it definitely gives the contrast like different like feel to why RJ and Zane are RJ and Zane, because for the longest time I always thought Zane was just like RJ, that they both digged pop punk music. They both loved pop punk music. I didn't know Zane's music taste was a heck of a lot more different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And also, I like that they were literally like Drake and Josh in the beginning. Like, I was looking at him, I was like, oh my God, he kind of does look like when they would come out to Drake and Josh, and I looked at him, I was like, he kind of does look like Drake a little bit. Like,
we had an argument at the beginning. Like, I used to think RJ was more like Josh and Drake was more like Zane, but now it's kind of like RJ is like Drake for the simple fact that Drake Bell does music,
right.
And RJ now does music. Zane's an actor, just like Josh is an actor.
But he's not goofy. Like, Josh Peck is like.
Yeah, but Zane's also not fat like Josh Peck
Was.
Young years. And I don't know if he had weight loss surgery or if they just put him on.
Are we talking about Zane or are we talking about Josh Peck?
Josh, but I'm saying in the sense like Josh Peck, as he even got older, he's always had that comedic background, and I don't know, like Zane's more serious. I just still see him as. But when they switched it to Big Time Rush, or actually it was Victorious first, but then didn't you say like it didn't get as much like
I don't know. I think they were just experimenting with what they wanted to use. I don't want to like.
Big Time Rush? I still like.
I like Big Time Rush
Yeah,
more.
it really fit them.
They're perfect.
Yeah, it really fit them. And now to see like, oh man, now every time I hear that song, I'll be like, oh.
And I know the reason why. And a lot of people sit there and I go back and I talk about Invictus for that Ossining show more than anything because Invictus has had multiple shows.
All in Jersey.
All in Jersey, which I'm not knocking, you know, but they had that one Ossining show, and that's still to this point my favorite show because it had everything I was envisioning. It had everything it had everything that I wanted at that Invictus show. It had the Stepdads, it had the Even Stevens, it had Insanely Rude, it had Geo. It had everything that was perfect about that show for me. And that's why that's still my favorite Invictus show to this day, especially for the fact that it was so close to drive to. And I love the fact that just everything came together perfectly in my mind.
And technically, we wrestled Even Stevens in the same match. Just saying, technically.
That was so when he came over. I left right around my and I had on IWTV on my TV, and I was watching that specific Invictus show because I was like, oh, I really want to like see it. Like we were listening to Big Time Rush in the car, and she'll go, oh. So I put it on, and then I had the Royal Rumble on, and I'm like, he walks in, he goes, oh, there's like kind of a hidden Easter egg right there because you see Wade and you see the Even there she goes. That he attacks the Even Stevens, and then you come in and then threw Somerset over. Who did you throw over?
No, Papa Bear threw Somerset over.
But it was kind of funny. It was like that was like the little window into
the point. Though, like what I love about that show so much is, like I said, you see Insanely Rude. There's a massive like memories to that show, and I still love the fact that Jason Andrews, when he came on, he ran out the ring and he tried to steal me away from Insanely Rude by hugging me, and then he ripped up my sign, which to this day, Jason Andrews is the first person ever to have ripped a sign of mine in New York. So
to this day, would it be another first person?
In a way, kind of, maybe. I don't know. They might have to do an RJ Rude versus Jason Andrews Juggernaut on a pole match maybe one day. I don't know.
I thought you just said Juggernaut on a pole for a second. I was like, but then your name, Juggernaut.
The point I'm trying to make is, you know, what was awesome is that we go from Insanely Rude and wrestling in that match, and then we were sitting there hanging out with Insanely Rude during like during the what was it called when you have the break in between the matches? Intermission, where we did the intermission, and then we're chatting with Insanely Rude during intermission. We were chatting with you guys, you know, and Wade was even hinting that, hey, you should take a picture between you guys of like, Joe, who are you going to pick between these two and standing in the middle? And I said, yeah, Billy, that would be great if you, like, we took a picture like that. And you never kind of got the hint that day. You know?
Do you know the pizza story from that show?
The pizza story?
Yeah.
No, I don't know the pizza story.
So Zane Bernardo and RJ ordered a pizza during the show.
Really?
And had delivered to the venue.
That's hysterical. That's something we could have done.
And they assumed that when the pizza guy got there, he would call and be like, "Oh, I'm in front of the building." So they were out like to the side of the building waiting to see a car. They missed the guy's car, and when he calls them, they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, we'll get our pizza. Where are you?" He's like, "I'm at some show somewhere." He was in the crowd. Giant pizza.
Wow.
That's hysterical. Imagine like holding a pizza, being like, "This is for RJ, AJ."
Yeah.
Hello.
So then as they go up, they find the guy. He no longer has the pizza. Someone at the bar bought the pizza. And they had to find the guy who was like, I assume he was trying to help, or he was just trying to get out of the fact that he just bought someone else's pizza. And he tried to lecture them like, "Oh, you guys shouldn't have bought a pizza. You can't pay for it." And so they ended up buying the pizza off of him, and the guy went away. But they come back up to me with their pizza. They're just like, this took way too much effort to just get one pizza, man. This is way too much.
Wow.
That's probably the greatest story I've ever heard, besides RJ with his little cue card.
But that was their big cheat meal for the day. I remember that. They were really excited
Did that
about this.
after that match, right?
Because I remember earlier in the day, they're like, "Oh, I kind of want some pizza. You know any pizza places?" I'm like, "I don't know." And they found a way to just order one and bring it to the show, which surprises doesn't happen more often.
That's crazy, man. That's why that show in Ossining was so special to me, so special to her, so special to everybody. You know? And it was the only teased effort that I've ever seen of Insanely Rude versus Stepdads versus the Even Stevens at that time. It's too bad they didn't have cameras going, and I really wish Invictus would have maybe taken advantage of that, because, like, there was a little hype there. Kelsey was kind of instigating fights between these guys out there. She's trying to drag the Even Stevens around to talk to Insanely Rude. And RJ and Zane are just sitting there all calm and confused by the whole situation.
Jared's trying to get himself involved.
Jared's trying to get, no, I think Jared was trying to talk about WrestleFest that coming week for NEW with us. And, you know, and the Stepdads end up just accidentally being there in the middle of it. And then I'm like, what about a triple threat match between all three teams? And then I saw Jason Andrews in the corner with the sad look on his face. I'm like, oh, man, how are we going to make this a fatal four-way?
I do remember earlier in the day when we met up with RJ and Zane, they really wanted us to be in their match.
Oh, wow.
And obviously, and we love Art of War, so we actually went to the promoter. We went to Alex, who obviously super nice guy and everything. So we were like,
Alex.
Hey, can we be added to the match? And he's like, no. No, we already advertised this match. So I'm like, okay, it's fine, no problem. And then later on, we had their battle royal, and we came back up like 4 strong again. We're like, hey, Alex, can Zanely Rude be in the battle royal? Can we do something with Zanely? That like, no. I'm like, all right, okay, all right, well, we tried, you know, because we just love working those guys. And then they bring the fun, man. They still will, I'm sure. I'm sure that at some point you'll see them one more time at least. It's bound to happen.
I've got another interesting Zane Bernardo story, by the way, something that was funny from that same show that I was talking to you about, where we got really loud at the NEW arena, but it comes from after the match. So once the match was over, that night it was like really, really, really hot. It was like we were in the middle of the heat wave of the summer of 2019, and we're in the indoor arena at the NEW arena. There's no air conditioning. The doors are open, and Zane is just shirtless the entire night. And I remember I ended up taking a group photo with a bunch of friends that I was with, some that I don't really talk to anymore. But when we were there at that show, all I remember was, you know, we took that group photo, and it took me until after we took that group photo to realize the entire time that Zane was shirtless. And I was like, did you like wear a shirt before the photo and then you just took it off for the photo just to show off the abs and everything? I don't know.
I'm picturing.
I'm telling you, I used to walk up to him and say, hey, can you save some of the abs for the rest of us? Because we kind of need them, you know?
Oh my God, imagine him versus abs. That would have been really like kind of funny. Like,
I don't see it. We could see it maybe one day. Hopefully, if Zane ever comes back.
I'm saying, imagine if that was like ever a match, abs versus abs.
Now, Vincenzo, I had a question now.
Yes.
Did you ever have in the cards, I mean, now, obviously, with Zane out of the book now for the time being, was he ever on the radar for a match at Tough and Talented?
Actually, I was talking to RJ 2 weeks ago because I'm looking for a surprise tag team for the tag champs. Maybe you've heard of them, the Stepdads. I don't know if you've heard of them or not.
Yeah, I heard this stuff.
Oh!
And I was looking for a surprise tag team because I was gonna Stepdads are gonna keep beating people, and they're like, you know what? Give us anybody. I don't care. And I was gonna have Insanely Rude come out. But
yeah,
it's okay because the thing is because we're gonna talk about RJ for just like 30 seconds. When he started his career, he was a singles competitor. So I think he's just gonna I don't think his career is going to go down because he's already had the singles career. He knows how to work as a singles wrestler. So I think RJ will be just fine.
Exactly, yeah. Before Insanely Rude, he was when I saw him at TIW, he was the PAPW Intercontinental Champion. And he had already wrestled for Evolve as a singles wrestler. So he was already doing well. Just being with Zane, I feel like gave him a lot more comfort and a different style of wrestling because he wasn't teaming with anybody. He didn't have that tag team style. So that was a huge difference for him that I think helped him. Now he's probably a completely different singles wrestler. So we'll have to see what he brings to the table. I can reveal that about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, a different promoter tried to have us against Insanely Rude where we were the surprise opponents, which is ironic that you said that they would have been the surprise opponents. So then, and they said they were unavailable, and now I know why. But I feel like even though they're gone, people are gonna remember what they brought to the table. The fact that even right now, here's two stories about two different promoters that wanted to book them because they're just a great team to have around. So even though they're gone, listen, here's the other thing, Joe. The first video you ever saw of us, I don't know if you remember the end of that match. Insanely Rude break up at the end of that match.
Oh no.
I was there.
You remember that?
I do remember that. But
and
they got back together.
They got back together. That's all I'm saying. Never say never in pro wrestling.
So.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up. I think how Rad Dad put it at the end.
If you guys have any more memories or.
Just with me, I remember Zane and a couple of his buddies when I was running shows for another promotion. They were always there at noon, wanting to help set up, wanting to help tear down. They were the first ones there and the last ones to leave. And that always stuck with me because I know our Zane was like, I want to do this one day. One day I'm going to do this. I just need a good school because I was trying to get him to a school that doesn't exist anymore. And then PAPW opened up, and then Zane ended up going there. But I just remember him being this young kid. It was even before the backyard days. Before he got the ring, he was like, I want to do this. Can I please help? I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm not going to say no to free labor. And it was great because those shows, he was learning the business. And I think that helped him because he would, you're always told to do, went up to every worker, shook their hands, introduced themselves, offered to go outside and help carry the bags in because you would get some workers who would bring 3 suitcases and rollers and everything because of merch alone. So
yeah,
it was awesome because I got to see him from the very, very, very beginning before he even started training to now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you saw the passion back then too, because I sure did.
Yep.
Yeah.
He loved it.
Like I said, it's not, I don't think it's the end. I think it's the next chapter in his book. And I hopefully, like I said, that book doesn't close. And if it does, maybe in the next book, he might revisit something. So
that being said, Rad Dad, thank you for coming on. Vincenzo, as yourself as well. It's nice to have a little bit of chats on Zane Bernardo. For the way you guys, the memories you have. It was great to relive some of the memories by chatting them here tonight. Zane, if you do watch this or listen, I hope you do. This was for you, brother. You made a big impact on me, on the entire Insanely Rude section. And truth be told, see, Dakota's even crying because she misses you that much.
I wish you could see her face.
I want you to know that if you ever decide you want to come back and do another run with Insanely Rude, just remember, you sold me your tights. So, no, it's true. I do own them, so I feel like they're in the best spot with me. So if you ever want them, got them back.
Perfect.
So
Awesome.
I wanted them as a collector's thing, but I'm gonna frame them.
How do you frame tight?
I can frame them. So the point is, so everybody, I hope you enjoyed this special tribute episode of the Rising Star podcast.
Zane Bernardo,
I love you.
love you.
I
RJ,
love you,
you know,
buddy.
Love you, man.
I hope you come back one day, but we totally understand why. What's late right now. We love you.
Enjoy your new chapter in life.
Yeah, and hug me, brother.
All right.
You